done that night. I'm going out to my truck and I turn around because I hear something going on behind me. After everything we've been through, she comes out. All I see is a rock coming directly at my face. I duck. Hear it bounce off the top of my truck.
Oh,
And,
shit.
of course, at that point, I'm done with this chick. That chick is psycho. I'm not dealing with it, and I'm out of there. Never did fix my truck either. I know.
My brother had a hard time with rocks, especially when it came to me.
This ought to be good.
Yeah, we went and paid this house down Possum Kingdom. Right, we got done with this house and everything.
Possum Kingdom.
Possum Kingdom. You never heard of that?
No, is that like one of them shows they did on TV with the hillbillies and shit?
It could have been.
Green Acres is yeah, okay, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Lake Possum Kingdom. It's a big ass lake. If you ever get down the road, it's a great lake to go to. Anyways, we painted a house down there, a guy's lake house. When I say lake house, it's more like his boat house. Took us like 4 days to paint. Anyways, we get done, but there were all these styrofoam things. They were like 2 foot long, wide, about 2 foot. They were like 4 foot long. And they like went under the boathouse.
Right, I can see that.
Right. But after a while, you replace them because I guess the waves chew at it and fish chew at it.
Right.
Algae gets on it and fishing. Anyways, they round off on the corner, so they take them out and they replace them with new ones. So they got them replaced and everything. And all the old ones are sitting up on the bank. And Walter tells the guys, like, hey, what are you going to do with this? He's like, I'm going to chunk them. Walter's like, do you mind if I take them? So we load them up in the truck. We got like 10 or 12 of them, right?
Right.
And they just load up. We strap them down. We pull them back to Wichita Falls with us. And once we get to Wichita Falls, everybody relaxes, recuperates from the paint job and everything. It took us 4 days to do, which we floated out some kegs. That's another story for another day. But anyways, so we're sitting there at the house one day, and they've been sitting outside for like a couple of weeks now. We ain't done shit with them. Walter's like, well, let's take these up to the tank behind the house, and let's see if we can do something, build a diving deck. And what he wants to do is put them all together and put plywood on top of it, and we'll float it out there in the middle and put a weight to it, and then we'll dive off that, we'll hang out and have a little thing. Now we call this
a redneck party barge.
Yeah, it's pretty much what it was. But we get down there and nothing ever goes to plan, ever. We get down there, we start doing things. Every time we get around Walter, it goes a different way. Well, let's do this. Let's do this. We're doing this. So we get down there, it's me and my buddy Todd Rich and Walter. And we go down there and we grab all these styrofoam things and we drug them over the hill, came down the hill and all this stuff. It's a good walk down there, So you're carrying these, we tie a rope around, we're just dragging them. So we get down there in the water and everything. It was like, we're sitting there talking to Walter's like, well, nobody brought plywood. And Walter's like, well, we got to tie them all together. So we tied up 4 of them. He got 2 of them, tied them up together. I got a couple, we tied them up. Walter's like, screw this. It's been a long day. Let's go out there. Let's go float out there in the water with them. I'm like, all right, we'll float out there in the water with them. And I got 2 of them. Like, these things are 4 foot long, 2 foot by 2 foot. They're big ass pieces of styrofoam.
Right.
And they are good floating devices. But anyways, we float out there. He floats out a little ways. I float out. And my buddy Todd, he floats out there to Walter. And they get to talking. We're floating on top of them, just laying on them, just floating on the water. Walter's like, let's have a war. Like, what kind of war? He's like, let's have a rock war. And, rock war. He's like, yeah. He said, dig your hole in there and make you a cubby hole. We'll go to the bottom, we'll get as much rocks, we'll throw rocks at each other. And see who can destroy who's first. And I'm like, all right. Just do
this. I mean, shit, it's just people throwing rocks at you. I mean,
you think like Russian and about that big one.
Yeah, what can go wrong?
As thick as these things were, they'll protect you. So I dug a big old hole in mine. I dug a big hole in mine. I dug it about probably a foot round, digging it out.
Right.
We had a flat phone just floating all over the water. And I went down with mine. I went in and I went down. So I had a big cubby hole. I had enough to where I could bring my cubby hole down on top of me and my rocks wouldn't fall out. And so I get that in there, I'm plugged on top. I'm like, y'all ready? Walter's like, I'm ready. I told Todd, I said, who's taking y'all? He goes, I'm going to team up with Walter. I'm like, you suck ass. You know, he's a turncoat. So he gets over at Walter. I think my cigarette's going out. He gets over at Walter. And the two of them, they go down. I can see them go down. They get some rocks. I go down. They get me a bunch of rocks. This is a deep pond, all right? Now, I mean, 20 foot ain't that much when you look at a 2x4, 20 foot long. That's not that much. But when you go underwater 20 feet, you dig a bunch of rocks and you come to the top, you've worked your ass off a little bit. You do it 4 or 5 times to fill up your cubby hole, you're working.
Right.
You're almost tired to the point like, let's tell 3 and go home. You know? But anyways, we just got some rocks. I'm hollering at them. They're talking shit to me, and we're having a good time. And Walter throws a rock over, and he hits the water behind me. Had a good old splash. I'm like, all right, we're going to do this.
Right.
We're going to have some fun here. And I thought nothing but fun. It's like throwing dirt clods on the roads.
Yeah, that's how we was when we was kids.
Yeah.
You know, hit somebody with a rock. That's fun.
Mm-hmm. It was the 80s.
Or in your case, 2 people throwing rocks at you. That's fun. Yeah.
Right. Well, they got on their little thing. They tilted it up. You know, there's 2 of them. They're treading water. And they just start bombarding me. And it's just like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, hell, you know, I'm by myself. And I'm like, these rocks are coming. It's like, bam, 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 splash, splash, splash. I'm like, these guys are like throwing at me like a repeater rifle. It's like a machine gun going off. And I'm like, damn, I can't do nothing. And I'm sitting there, I'm trying to get a rock and throw it. And they started slamming me. And I put my rock back because I got to hold my thing.
Right.
So it's like bam, 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 splash, splash, splash.
See, I'd have been done at this point.
I know, but you couldn't stop. If you tried to stop, they'd have got you away, swim away.
Right.
Because Walter was mean. So I'm sitting there after a minute, and I'm like, screw this. I'm throwing a freaking rock. And it's like bam, 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 splash, splash, splash. I grab one rock, big as my hand, and I just lob it. Right over the top. And then I pull it over. Bam, 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 splash, 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 all these rocks. And all of a sudden it stopped. It just stopped. And I'm like, oh, hell. You know what I'm saying? Walter's the kind of guy that will come underwater, grab my feet, and drown me.
Right.
He'll grab my feet, pull me under, we'll wrestle.
A good brother.
A good brother.
Yeah.
He'll stick me in the mud and he'll swim up like we won. So I'm like waiting for him, you know. So I'm like trading water.
And then he's dead. He don't live here no more.
Exactly. That's how my brothers work.
Right. So we won.
Right. So I'm sitting there, I'm like trying to tread water, hold this stuff up, and I'm thinking, well, I think Walter's about to come underneath there and get me. So while I'm treading water, I'm also doing the mean kicks at the same time in case he comes at me. But it's like 30 seconds, almost a minute goes by. Like, hang on. I go look around the edge, just see what happened. I look around the edge, and Walter's over like one hand on his face and his back stroke. And I was like, oh, hell. I'm like, what's the matter? And Todd over here like, you hit Walter in the face with a rock. It's like I threw one rock. He goes, you hit Walter in the face with a rock. We swim to shore. Walter's up there. His nose is broke. And you can tell by looking at his, the skin is broke. And you can see the bone and the cartilage, and it's off to the side. And both his eyes are already black. And I'm like, are you okay? He's like, he goes, I don't know what you did. He said, but we were bombing your ass, and I was ready to go underwater. I was like, I knew you were.
Right.
The whole time he's going like this on his nose, telling me the story. He's like, and then all of a sudden he goes, I grabbed one rock, and I pulled the whole thing down to throw it. He said, a big rock just came straight out of my face. I was like, I threw one rock. He goes, that was the lucky son of a bitch.